So, new universities. In the Middle Ages, education was provided by cathedral schools and monasteries. But over the 13th and 14th century, distinctive universities emerged. Now, they were mainly there to educate the clergy, and so they came out of the monastic and cathedral system. If you think about the colleges at Oxford and Cambridge, in this period, they would be all staffed by clergy. In fact, that carried on until well after the Reformation. And they educated the clergy needed to serve in the expanding towns. But they also offered for money education to the children of others. In the late 14th century, the term university had developed the meaning of a self-regulating community of teachers and scholars, recognised and sanctioned by civil or ecclesiastical authority. Now, the oldest universities were recognised by a papal bull, and they showed that anyone who had been admitted as a teacher there could teach anywhere in the world. And that is why you got a degree. It was your permission to teach. Now, some universities, such as that at Paris, were funded by the church. Others were funded solely through fees or by the local prince. With increasing wealth, founding university came a way the prince could show the importance of his region. And so it is that the Elector of Saxony, the Duke of Saxe-Wittenberg, Frederick III, founded a university in Wittenberg in 1502. And that, as you can guess, is going to be important later. During this period, there were some changes in theology. Towards the end of the 12th century, we get the growth in the idea of purgatory as an intermediate place between heaven and hell. It develops in Western Christianity at this period. Now, it's eminently possible that a concept of this predated this period, because prayers to the dead may imply that the dead need something that they don't already have. Other religions, such as Judaism and Buddhism, also include some who offer prayers or offerings for the dead. And we have in 2 Maccabees 12, 42 to 44, the underpinning of this idea. And they turned to supplication, praying that the sin that they had been committed might be wholly blotted out. The noble Judas exhorted the people to keep themselves free from sin, for they had seen with their own eyes what had happened as the result of the sin of those who had fallen. He also took up a collection, man by man, to the amount of 2,000 drachmas of silver, and sent it to Jerusalem to provide for a sin offering. In doing this, he acted very well and honourably, taking account of the resurrection. For if he were not expecting that those who had fallen would rise again, it would have been superfluous and foolish to pray for the dead. So the Western Catholic Church had this as the scriptural basis for the concept of purgatory. But the concept was vague until the 12th century. And it was in 1274 at the Second Council of Lyon, and then again at the Council of Florence in 1438 to 1444, and then after the Reformation at the Council of Trent in 1545 to 63, that it began to be pinned down. And the statement about purgatory in 1274 was one of the barriers to the reunification of the Western and Eastern churches, since the Eastern Church rejected the idea of such a place. Denzinger, in the Sources of Catholic Dogma, which was produced in 1820, says this: "The Council has likewise defined that if those truly penitent have departed in the love of God, before they have made satisfaction by the worthy fruits of penance for sins of commission and omission, the souls of these are cleansed after death by purgatorial punishments. And so that they may be released from punishments of this kind, the suffrages of the living faithful are of advantage to them, namely the sacrifices of masses, prayers and almsgiving, and other works of piety which are customarily performed by the faithful for other faithful according to the institutions of the Church. Now, this is a fairly calm statement, but the imagination of the faithful filled out the details and enabled some in the Church to use the desire to help those who had died in their purification to make money. This is the period of the painting of the Dooms. And I'm showing you the Doom painting in Chaldon Church, which once lockdown is over, you could come and visit. It's just south of Caterham, which is just south of Croydon. Alongside the idea of purgatory, the doctrine of indulgences developed. Indeed, it is still the teaching of the Roman Church. So now, go and read the paper Indulgences. I've selected key parts from what is the current teaching of the Roman Church to give you a feeling for how it's still being used. The paper comes from Catholic.org, Prayers, Indulgences, so you can go and look at it in its full if you wish to. And come back together and we'll have a discussion about the idea of purgatory and the idea of indulgences.